everyone, so we're starting the next series. Finally made it through all the House of Hades characters because there are so many characters in that. So the next series, if you haven't heard, is Ranger's Apprentice. Here's one of them. It's the 8th book, just so you know in case you want to read them. Since I find that these are popularly read because they're more for younger kids, I think. As you can see, the 8th book, not that thick. So, quick rundown of it. Ranger's Apprentice about a boy named Will who becomes a Ranger's Apprentice. Big surprise. And he's apprenticed to Halt, which is this really awesome guy, and he's the one we're talking about today, because you have no idea what he's gonna say, gonna do, gonna appear to next. You have no idea. So, they're apprenticed together, and it's about him becoming a ranger. He's becoming a ranger, and like he has to go on some adventures. They have his training, like relationships he builds, and it's a series. So you start off with him first becoming a ranger's apprentice, and then it keeps going, and eventually he becomes a ranger. Then it keeps going. You see everything he goes through, and it wraps us up nicely with him getting his own apprentice, which is probably a really awesome thing that this book series does. Oh yeah, by the way, just a warning, if anyone wants to read these and they're American, like me, be forewarned. All the measurements are in kilometers. Okay, the rest of the world, you don't have a problem. Us Americans, we might. It threw me a little because I was like, kilometers? That's a pretty far distance. How could you get there in a few minutes? And then I'm like, they're on horseback. How could they get there in a few minutes? And then I looked up how far a kilometer was and was, oh! It's shorter than a mile. Okay. Just forewarning everyone who's in America. But, Ranger's Apprentice. So we're going to talk about Halt. I have the 8th book because 8th book's Kings of Colonial. I'm guessing that's how you say it. But some shocking things in here. Spoilers if you haven't read this whole series yet. Go read it first. But Halt, like I said before, I really like Halt. He's one of my favorite characters from this. Because, like, you first meet him and you don't really know, if you're like me, you don't really know what to make of him. Okay? You don't really know. I first met him and I was like, am I going to like him? Am I going to dislike him? Is he going to be a really mean teacher? Because he's sneaking around this place. I'm not really too sure where they are. Like a barren castle. Okay? Picture that as like a king and then like a barren castle. I always think of it like in U.S. terms, like there's the whole country and then there's little states. That's how I think of it, especially because there are 50 of these little state type things. I find that funny. So they have that. He's there. He's sneaking around. And I was like, am I gonna like him? Because it's like he tested Will, being like, okay, I might take you as an apprentice. Might. Like the other ones where they're like, yeah, I'll take you, or no. It was, I might, let me give you a test first. And he does, and Will passes, and then like the whole training started, and I was like still a little iffy, because I'm like, okay. I'm like, I see where he's going with this. He's one of those teachers where very realistic. Will's like, why do I need to know geography? I won't, like, why do I need to be sure of everything here? And Hulk's just like, well, if you need to submit an attack plan to someone, do you want to be off? Huh? No? Didn't think so. If you had to give directions to someone, would you want to be off? No? Didn't think so. If you were trying to find some place, would you be able to find it? It's like, okay. Now that's important to learn geography, not just, well, you have to learn it. No, it's this, you must, because of this. Which makes, I like the teachers like that, so, and then everything else I was still a little iffy on, because the whole thing where he, like, comes there, and first he needs to, like, be sure Will knows that, like, Rangers, they're not high up there, or anything, they're, like, when it comes to authority, they can overrule everyone but the king, but, like, they're still not gonna have people helping them out, they live by themselves, so he's getting Will used to that, and I was like, well, I kind of see that is important, and the whole tricking him to learn the lessons thing with like shooting practice, and when they went to go get Tug, you read the book, you know what I'm talking about, how Will just flew off the horse the first time because those horses are awesome. And yeah, but then when they went to the meeting that they had, I started liking him because I found it hilarious that his other apprentice Gillian, like always tries to prank him or tries to be like, ha, I gotcha. Just one of those things. I picture it as that, sneak up on him, scare him, something. It's different every year, and he's just like, okay, here we go, let's go, we're gonna fight back. Not just here he comes, where he's like, we're gonna fight back. This is fun. And I like how he's also so mysterious, because multiple times in all the books, okay, especially the fourth one was like, whoa, okay, because in all these books, there's always references to other things he has done. He has the most interesting backstory out of everyone. Okay, out of everyone. And because he's like, oh yeah, I know these guys. How do you know them? Well, I did this thing and this, and they don't really like me. Oh yeah, they don't like me either. No, they don't like me either. When did you go here? Oh, this happened and that happened, and I fought these guys and had to steal something from these guys and was fighting for these guys, and you're just like, you've been all over the place now, haven't you? But he also has, so that's interesting, and I also like that he has that dry humor too. Okay, the dry humor about him, how he doesn't really smile. Like we see him very rarely smile. It's only for Will because they have they develop a father-son relationship, and I like, and he cares about him because I mean he purposely got himself banished to go like get Will back because everyone was like, no, you can't, just stay here, okay, just stay here. Like you can go off once we're done here, and he's just like, well, Plan B. That's what I think went through his head. Plan B. So I like how he has that dry humor. Like I was saying, I like how he has that relationship with Will. Sometimes, and his teaching things are like, well, couldn't you have just told him, hey, you might want to put on an arm guard because I have done archery before and that hurts. Okay, if you read this series, you know what part I'm talking about. Will is going to, doing his bow and arrow thing, and he's like practicing. Just like, okay, let's take a shot. Let's see how good you are. He does that, and if you've ever done a bow and arrow, the string hits your arm, ricochets off your arm after you release. Okay? And in the book, it's like he really felt it, and it hurt him like really bad, probably because he had a heavier draw weight. But I've done archery before, and I'm telling you, I got a bruise that was like that size, like my whole forearm was like purple after I did archery for an hour because I didn't wear an arm guard or anything to protect my arm. So that hurts. I'm like, why didn't you just tell him, hey, you might want to wear this? And if he was like, I don't need to wear that, then you let him go on and be like, okay, go ahead, shoot it. And then when it hits him, he's like, yeah, I should wear that. And then his past is really interesting too. The Kings of Column. I really like that one because it was like, whoa, it explains a lot. Okay, it explains a lot about Halt and how he became a ranger and how he, it explains a lot about Halt, how he has like all this authority and everything, and it just comes naturally to him because why? Well, he is supposed to be the king of Colomino, but because his twin brother, identical twin brother, merely tried to kill him, he kind of just went off, was like, I'm done, you can have it, I'll see you around. Went off, and I do like how he did come back and everything happened in there. What else do I like about Halt? I like Halt in general. He's like a different character because he's the dark character, but he could also be the funny character too, and he is definitely the one in charge. Okay, he is the one in charge. No matter who's around him, you can tell that they are gonna listen to Halt. He is the one in charge. So at first I didn't really know what to make of him, questioned his teaching methods a little bit, because I'm like, okay, I like how he did the whole, this is why you need to know this, but I was also like, why don't you just tell him, hey, you might want to try this right off the bat? I don't know, but hey, Will became a great ranger. He did. He became a great ranger. Halt's like Halt's legendary. He's like a myth to all of them. They see Halt, they hear Halt, and they don't even realize it's him, which is pretty awesome too. So that's really all I got for Halt. I could go on forever about Halt. I could give you endless examples of everything, of dry humor, of his awesome skills, because Rangers, like, everyone has awesome skills, because, like, they can shoot things from far away. There's a part where, I think it's in, yeah, it's in this one, where at the beginning of it, he like, captures this guy, because these guys are after him, and then he went out to try to find him and get him out. It didn't work, obviously, but then he's like, okay, you're gonna pretend to be me and go jump off that cliff into the lake at the bottom. Okay, and the guy's like, what makes you think I'm going to do that? And he's just like, because if you don't, I will shoot you, and to prove it, while you're running up there, because they're pretty, like, they're not that far up the hill during this, I will hit that tree branch right there, just that tree branch, and he did, and you're just like, oh my god, he hit it! Okay, not cross him, and he can fight too. You don't want to cross, like, even with swords, like, you see him fight a couple times with just his two knives, and don't fight him. You don't. And, like, just the way that he can slip around, I like that. That's just a general thing about all Rangers, but I like that. So, that's Halt for you. Halt. Archery. That's the example of dry humor, because no one realized that it's, like, Gaelic, I think that's called in this one, but because no one realized it's Gaelic, and that's one of the languages in this book, and it Halt Archery, because he doesn't want to give his last name, because if he does, then everyone will be like, wait, that's like a royal name in that one, in colonial. And that just opened up a can of worms, and everyone would just, that'd be hard to explain. But I like, that's like dry humor, because he basically tells people, my name's Halt, because archery is Gaelic in here for halt, and no one knows it because he has an accent, and because he pronounces it with an accent, they don't recognize the word, and everyone's like, okay, halt, every time if you translate it. It's funny. So these books, again, I'm gonna say these books are awesome. You'll like Halt eventually. Even it's one of those off and on things where you want to yell at him, and there's some fun little moments in there, some touching moments, some awesome moments, some what were you think. You have no what were you thinking moments with Halt, because he has a plan. He has everything thought out to a T. Literally to everything. He has everything thought out and planned. You won't be going, what were you thinking? Okay? Will, on the other hand, so occasionally you'll go with what were you thinking, but other than that, really, Rangers, you don't really say that much to them. So, in the end, Halt is an awesome character. I don't want to get, and this is such a spoiler field, I could go on forever about Halt. There are 12 of these books, and he is alive in all of them. I could go on forever about him. I won't. So much I could tell you about Halt and how awesome he is, so many examples, but that's the gist of him. Next, I'll do Will Treaty. You'll find out how he got his last name. Well, everyone has last names that are given to them for a reason or are funny. It's weird. But we'll talk about Will next time, his apprentice. And until then, Ranger's Apprentice, you should read it. It's a really fast read. If you're waiting for something to come out, if, like, I still have 1 month, you could probably get through. You could probably crank all these books out in a week if you wanted to, because they're good. They keep you in suspense, and they go through everything. It doesn't really leave open much. Like, it leaves open some things, but it really, I like how he created a complete circle. Okay, going from Will becoming an apprentice, to his training, to becoming a ranger, to getting his own fet. That's what their little states are called. to like just going on all of this all the way back to Will getting an apprentice, which in turn, if he continues this, it would just start the cycle over with Will's apprentice. And we'll talk about all of Will tomorrow, but Halt for now is really awesome. I like how he, even in his old age, he can still kick some butt. So there you have it. And to end this, I can't really do a tweet for this one. I know I did Rick Riordan tweets of the day for that, and I will go back to that for when I go to the Kane Chronicles, but since we're doing Ranger's Apprentice, I decided to give you a lesson on being a ranger. So, one lesson that this book teaches everyone, that you can learn from this book, is about how to sneak around. You listening? This actually works. So, how to sneak around. First step, to stay still, okay? Most of the time, people see you because you move. If you think they see you and you move, they'll definitely see you. So just stay still, and as they say, trust your camouflage. In this case, their cloak, but trust your camouflage, okay? The shadow that you're using, the fact, the wall you're hiding behind, whatever it is you're using, the tree, something. Because if they don't expect to see you, they most likely won't if you're trying to hide. So, that's the lesson for today. Straight from the book. Okay? Thanks for watching. Next week is Will. So, bye. Same rules apply if you've read the series and you want me to do a character. There's not going to be too many of these because it's like there are certain characters that are really in it. And then there's characters who are not so much. They're more of a minor character. Okay, so if you do want me to do one of them, tell me. Because so far, right now, it's only going to be, I only have 3 definite and then possibly some other ones. Possibly. Like maybe 5 definite. But not too many there. Because I'll touch on them with other characters and they don't really appear in every single book. So, yeah. Thanks for watching. Read this if you haven't. Remember the kilometers. Kilometers, not miles. Bye!